Let's go. There we are. Welcome, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties. This is the 40th Hohner live stream here on the Hohner YouTube channel, together with Ronnie Shellist. Please give him a big hand. Welcome, Ronnie. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's great to hang out with you this afternoon.
Awesome. Yeah, I hope everything works out. Now I'm using my mobile data for the first time, streaming in 2021, I think, at least. But I think it will be fine.
It seems great so far, so let's hope that continues.
Yeah, so let us know from where you're tuning in the chat. From Turkey, Stockholm, already reading some comments there. Indianapolis, Cologne. Yeah, I'm recording my second duo album in Cologne on Saturday. Hello from the US. Nice.
Very nice.
Saudi Arabia.
Hey, people everywhere.
That's pretty new. And Malta.
The beauty of the internet, it brings everyone together. That's the best part.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Ronnie, where are you located right now? In Denver?
I actually made a move last year. It's been almost a year now. I made a move. I'm in Champaign, Illinois, which is about 2 hours south of Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, Ronnie is one of the most important figures in blues harmonica education today. I'm sure you stumbled upon an educational or performance video of him on YouTube. And that's actually what I did very early on when I started to play and practice harmonica like 11 years ago. I think the first video I discovered was your funky blues harmonica jam.
Yeah, that little video. Cool.
That was one of my first online discoveries, and I just researched it again, and I think you uploaded that like 14 years ago.
That sounds right. It would have been 2006, so 15 now. Yeah, almost 15 it'll be.
That's crazy. Summer. That's like quite a while ago.
It's been a while,
especially in the digital age.
I think so. YouTube began in 2005, and then in 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it was 2006, and my girlfriend's sister said, "Hey, you're trying to send this video to somebody. Just put it on YouTube." And I was like, "What's YouTube?" That's how I found out about YouTube, was putting up, I think, some sort of harmonica improv, kind of just making something up,
Yeah. That's crazy, and it blew off the video.
Yeah, it was neat to meet all these people, again, from all over the world that were tuning in and writing questions and asking me things through YouTube. And I thought, this is a good opportunity. I might want to pay attention to the response and maybe perhaps do something about it.
So at that point, did you like see any other harmonica players on YouTube?
So there was...
or you were basically one of the first ones, right?
There were like a couple, you could find people just kind of making noise, I would call it, and just goofing around. And there might have been a couple old Sonny Boy Williamson videos posted early on. There was nobody teaching, nobody really that could play had posted anything. I didn't really know that until Adam Gusso told me this. He was at an event and he said, "Did you know you were the first person to start posting these?" And I didn't know that. So Adam was actually the one who told me.
Okay.
So yeah, and then Adam showed up and started posting videos the next year, I want to say. And boy, did he like hit the scene and hit it hard, and just started uploading videos nonstop.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I think consistency is the key on YouTube, or like, I don't know, every social media platform.
It really is. I wish that I had been consistent throughout the years. I've come back and made a little comeback, but there was stretches of nothing because of things that were happening, personal things in my life. And I see the impact that had. Not that I'm a numbers guy. Wasn't in it to gain as many subscribers as I could. But I do look at guys, just to name a few people, like Tomlin and Tomlin Leckie and Liam Ward. And these are guys who post absolutely regularly every week. And you look at their subscribers and they have a lot of folks following them. And so that consistency is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember like somehow I also discovered the backing track you were using in that video.
The funky blues backing track.
Yeah. And I also recorded myself playing to it. But yeah,
I don't know. I've seen that. I need to check that out.
Oh yeah, it's private.
Okay.
It's not online anymore. I thought I could like show you right here and maybe get some advice from you, but with the technical difficulties, I think it's like hard to find it now.
What do you try? Oh, because I see. It's easy. It's easier when you're not on your mobile. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was something I enjoyed, and also I really loved the duo videos that you uploaded with Bob Pellegrino.
Oh yeah, Bob's a fantastic singer-songwriter and blues guitarist from Denver, who I had the chance to work with for many years. Great singer, great writer, and just really good guy. So he was very instrumental in the scene and sort of my live music playing while I lived in Denver, being able to perform out. There aren't a whole lot of great blues players that I can just say that live in Denver. There just aren't. But there are a few that are great. And so he was one of the important guys in the scene. Still is.
Yeah. That was beautiful. Maybe I can find the funky thing like when you have a long answer to a question from somebody in the chat. But
yeah, you've got to give me a slow pitch so that I can really, dig into it.
Yeah. And there are some questions. There's also already an interesting one that I want to keep up for later. But just to start out with your musical beginnings, was the harmonica actually your first instrument?
No. So I learned how to play guitar, the very basics of guitar playing in middle school. I would have been like 12, 13 maybe. And I learned very little, but I learned a little bit about chording and rhythm and timing, and I was very interested in music, but it didn't speak to me and it didn't resonate as something that I wanted to do. But that was my first experience, and I did that for maybe a couple years. And then there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing until maybe 26 years ago when my dad bought a harmonica, and I was probably at that point home from college. It was during college, and that was the beginning. He had the little book and the thing, and he was like, it was sitting there, and I noticed that it hadn't moved. I said, "Are you going to play this thing?" And so he said, "No, you can take it." It came with "Oh Susanna," and that's how I got started. I got fired up just being able to. It felt really natural to me. It felt like before when I tried to play guitar, moments of excitement versus like learning one song the right way and being able to really play it enthusiastically with passion felt like I was really becoming, even though it was only "Oh Susanna," I felt very connected to the instrument. And I thought this is something that I can relate to, that really speaks to me. So I was very, very obsessed and all in from the beginning. I spent a lot of time trying to learn.
Because it just feels good to play the instrument, right?
That's it. We breathe, it's the only instrument in the world that we breathe in and out. And if you do it right, everyone that's listening, if you do it correctly, it feels amazing. And often this is best represented in playing something simple, these little... Because you could do this for hours. Once your breathing is right, there's no stress on the system. You could sit there for literally 10 minutes and just get more and more relaxed.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for like a world record in like non-stop harmonica playing.
Yeah, maybe it's you. Maybe you've got to go do that.
Like all the people who are doing like 6-hour, 12-hour streams.
Oh man, I think your lips might at some point get too dry, and you would have to stop for the lips unless you really got the I don't have it here, they sell a nice lip balm that's coconut oil based from Lip Ease. They're made for wind instruments. And I met these really nice people that run the company. So I have like a whole pack of their, and that works very well. For the folks that are having issues, with your lips dragging on the harmonica, maybe get some of that. But really, I think the answer is you have to get it inside your inside lip contacting the cover plate. And that's why people have issues with the harmonica dragging. They're playing from the outside.
Yeah.
Do you use both embouchures or a couple different?
I mean, I do both lip pursing and tongue blocking, but there was definitely a time where, I started out lip pursing and then I was a 100% tongue blocker for 1 year or something. Because I was heavily into Dennis Grunding.
Yeah.
But then I just went back. And now I'm just happy that I can do both.
Right. I find that I'm very proud and happy of the sound that I can finally produce, and a lot of it is because of the combination. It's the mixture of these different tonalities and sounds that we get from different embouchure. So I think it's really important part of my sound is that it is sometimes very much clean and focused, and it has a different tone when it's in that pucker mode versus a little more texture and sometimes even aggressive sounds with the tongue blocking if you want. So I like it. I think it's an important part of, again, my sound. I know everyone's got their own thing, and you've had some wonderful players that have come through this platform, these interviews. So you get to hear about everyone, and everyone's doing it a little bit differently.
That's true. Yeah. So what's like the first thing that you teach to a beginner?
I have a talk with them, a little pep talk that says that it's all in the state of mind, because the state of mind is going to influence your breathing, and the breathing's number one. So I try to get them understanding that they just need to be relaxed, be relaxed, be relaxed. And usually I get them started with something chordal based, like what I played, but slower earlier. That's something I would teach them. I'd probably split our time working something like that for timing and getting them, understanding about how to keep good time, and then working on that single note embouchure. Because if you can learn one simple melody, then you can build confidence to conquer the technique required for the more sophisticated, songs and more sophisticated techniques that you have to build skill for. It's funny because you can learn a skill, but the skill might be so raw that it takes years to develop to where you're proud of that final result. There's examples of this all over the place in recordings, at least I know personally from myself. You hear things that, I used it, but was I proud of it? No. It was kind of ugly at times, or pitch was a problem. Yeah. And I didn't know it until the recording. I'm sure you've witnessed how much you learn by going back and listening to your videos and your the albums that you've recorded over the years, everything that we've acquired. That's where the real learning is. It's in those recordings, because everything else is up in smoke. And then you just hope that you remember correctly a mistake or what worked well.
Oh, yeah. That also goes for, I don't know, producing YouTube videos and and teaching, if you record yourself doing that on YouTube. I don't know. Yeah.
Teaching has become also I think one of the greatest ways to strengthen my own playing, my own personal sort of expression on the instrument, my skill level. Because when you're teaching, do you teach as well?
Well, yeah. I also started to teach. Very early on, I would say. And that's just how I got to know the whole learning experience with harmonica. There was some guy on the German harmonica forum who contacted me, and he asked me if he could give me 4 lessons to just teach me the basics.
Right.
And that was via Skype. And I just thought, yeah, I don't know, learning harmonica, you learn that via Skype. And not at your local music school, right? So, yeah, I don't know. After some time, I just started to teach myself on Skype.
I think that those are the teaching is interesting. It's a critical part of becoming a great player is your ability to. I mean, there are so many great players that cannot teach well, but I don't believe that all of those players couldn't be great teachers because, like, it's the ability to understand what it is we're doing, and when you can explain it 5 different ways clearly,
Yeah.
so that 5 different learners understand it, then you really have got something that you understand, that you get it, and so part of that over the years, again, like my deficits would be theory. My big deficit would be, okay, I'm not a heavy theory guy. I learn by ear. But over the years, I'm collecting theory because I know that it only helped me at this point, right? It's not going to hurt me. And as a teacher, it certainly could, students will benefit the more theory you can teach. You can kind of break that down into an easy way to understand the theory. You don't have to keep it high level. So yeah, this teaching thing has been a huge part of me as a player, my development. So it's funny, the whole thing, the way that the whole progression for me played out with putting myself out there on YouTube, then struggling part-time jobs and teaching a little bit of private lessons and gigging all the time, and then working part-time at some who knows what every year forever, that it would pay off to stick with the teaching and the building the relationship with the students, and that finally getting married has kicked me in the ass to get serious about 12 years ago and actually commit to being a full-time musician and teacher. And that's because of the dedication to, I guess, the platform, but like listening to the people that are tuning in and saying, what do they really want? What are people like? You know, when you post a video, I'm trying to post something that is interesting to me because I hope that if I love it, then the people tuning in will dig it. But that's not always true. But that's the way I decide what to put up.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, that's always the case for me. Like, I'm motivated or like inspired when I see somebody, doesn't matter if it's like teaching or like performing, if I can see that they enjoy what they are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you try to, like, I do try to pay attention to what people want to have put up there, but like it's also like the love of putting it up because you just want to share, you know, I'm excited to share this thing with everybody, and it's got to be none of my videos are well produced. They're all on the fly, and they're very just sort of in the moment, you know. Often I get the idea and turn on the camera. So but it works for me. It's organic that way, but I think everyone's different. The key is to share. If you're not teaching, at least share what you're working on. That would be a cool thing to explore for those that are learning. Just share it with anybody. Share it with your mother. Share it with a friend. Share it with a Facebook group. But because if you put it out there, you'll learn from that.
Oh yeah, it can be interesting for so many people. Like if you just share your progress, even if you're like a total beginner.
Yeah.
And that's the story for you then. If you start a YouTube channel and it's the how to start playing harmonica channel.
Yeah, I mean,
what's the journey like?
Yeah, exactly. It's actually could be more interesting because if you really become a great player, then people are going to dig what you did early on because they're going to say, how did he do that? How do you go through those ranks and figure that out?
Yeah.
To me, looking back is like a collection of photographs in a way, or memories that I can just sneak into 2006 or 9 or 2012 and see what did I sound like? What was I talking about? What was I listening to? And it's all, not every year, but most of the time, there's a recording of something that I've uploaded, which is kind of fun to go back and just see what was going on in my life too.
Yeah, I mean, so there's so much like teaching, learning material available now, like more than ever. What would you tell like beginners? Like, how would you help them to find the good stuff?
Well, I would say that it's not that you shouldn't feel it's wrong to source multiple teachers when you're learning, because everyone has a different teaching style and you need to figure out who you're connecting with. So step one is you should shop around. You should go out there and look in a lot of different places. I don't know. I mean, I think like the key is figuring out what is not good material to be studying. What could be a bad place to look, because there's a lot of misinformation on the internet.
Yeah.
Especially that I've seen in the harmonica world, where tablature is written incorrectly. I see it all the time. And I don't say anything because there's too much of it. Like what I would be that guy who would just be like, this is wrong. So you have to be careful and maybe share, if you're going to source something you don't know or you can't trust the source, have it verified, because that's the worst, is to learn like a song incorrectly or a technique incorrectly. If you have two choices, you're going to learn by ear, or you're probably going to get sheet music. And why not do a little bit of both? But be careful is my suggestion. And find guys. If I were to name guys, I would say, obviously, like Adam Gusso and David Barrett, the Tomlin and Liam have great channels. There's free material everywhere. So then the question is, if you have the time and the budget, figure out how you learn best. This is key. Some people are very, very visual and others are not. I'm very visual. I want to write everything down. I want to see it. I don't like doing tablature for other people, but I encourage them to do it because I want them to go through the process. And it can be simple tablature. It doesn't have to always be incorporated onto sheet music. So often that's a big part of learning. And so it's a disservice to always seek tablature, perhaps. So I'd encourage you guys to have a system, even if it's very simple, just some way that you are able to express your music written. You've got to be. Do you agree? That's pretty important.
Oh yeah. Maybe I'm writing out tablature for my students too often.
There's a fine line, because as teachers, that's right. We have to figure out what are they capable of. So if you figure out how you learn best, you'll know whether
that's very individual.
Yeah, the learner may want audio only. They may want video. They may want to start with a book, which is rare because that's very hard to learn, I think, from a book, personally. You need more accompaniment, more supplemental material to go with that. So like on my website, not to plug it, but I have video downloads and audio downloads and recorded live classes, streaming classes that I now sell as recordings. And that's how people work with me outside of private lessons. So those are nice because they come with some notes. Yes, I do provide the tablature, but I think that for certain learning environments, we need to provide a certain level of tablature. I can think of one teacher who would disagree with me, and that's cool because I'm going to learn from this teacher coming up soon in an event where he's going to teach in that method without any tablature at all. And it's so everyone's different, but I would say that you got to figure out how you learn best. That's a big part of it. Yeah.
Well, the plug is pretty important because I linked all your social media accounts below, so check them out.
Great.
The Harmonica 123 website and all the information on the Global Blues Harmonica Summit.
Right.
Well, what's the next thing you have coming up there?
I didn't plan on leaking this information today.
Okay.
But why not? Why not? Let me make sure I got I know I've got the date right, but just want to double check because if I say it wrong, that's what people will remember.
Of course.
So I have one huge event that's going to be a big summit this year. It's the only one I'm going to do of this nature, and that happens on April 17th and 18th, a full weekend long online summit, harmonica summit with the following: with myself, with Adam Gusso, with Carlos Del Junco, and with Hank Shreve. So we are going to each teach a seminar on a piece of music that we've written. So we're gonna actually teach you our own music. We're gonna take a piece. A lot of these are instrumental. So I'm excited about it. I'm super excited because I don't do a lot of these big events anymore, and these guys are some of my favorite players and teachers around. For those that don't know, Carlos, I don't know what I could say about him. Just make sure you go check out Carlos. There's nobody like him in the harmonica community. He's a huge influence on every genre. He's incredible, and heavy overblow guy. Then there's Adam Gusso, who everybody knows and loves, and is Hank Shreve. If you don't know him, I want to say he's in Portland, but he could be from somewhere else in Oregon. But he is just a monster player. Do you know Hank?
I don't.
Man, Hank Shreve is possibly one of my favorite players out there. He is a monster chromatic and diatonic player, heavy into the blues and swing. But he's so good. For those that don't know him, look up his YouTube channel. Maybe I could come back and put it in the comments section of this video on YouTube.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, so it's great that like there's so many online things happening in the harmonica world. I feel like due to COVID, like the harmonica world gets more connected in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, because a lot of the players turned to teaching, or followed through with a higher level of teaching than they were doing. You got guys like Dennis Grunling, just to plug another player who is putting out constant Q&A sessions, sometimes on his own or with other well-known players in the scene. And you've got Carlos Del Junco, who is teaching his own classes occasionally, Rolly Platt. There's all these great players out there that are offering up unique opportunities that, it didn't exist. Not on this level. I was ready for this pandemic in a weird way because that's all I had been doing was building online opportunities.
Yeah.
And I'm not happy that it happened. I also lost a bunch of opportunities in person, but it's interesting to see how many more people were willing to check out these online classes and these summits, because before people were a little hesitant, they're afraid of the technology, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a nice question that came in early on by Soda Ribery. I always wonder how people can find motivation. I mean, that's probably a nice one also during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one. For me, it's the quickest way to get motivated is to be inspired. And the only way you are inspired is by listening. So my biggest tip of this whole entire thing, if you want to get great at harmonica playing, spend a little less time working on your chops and spend more time listening to the music that you want to become. And you'll find that all of that, you'll finally stumble upon things that you just are so moved by emotionally that you are motivated. And you're so inspired that you find ways to make time to practice, because practice is fun. Practice is personal. Practice is a time for you to connect with yourself. It's not about anything else but you and your instrument. And it's a very private, personal experience. So practice is very intimate in a way for me. And I look forward to my practice time. I don't get a lot of practice time these days. I teach a lot, but I find that there's a way to sort of fit in this teaching meditation, the practice meditation inside of my teaching. I'm practicing as well, but like private practice time is important, because then it's all about what you want. What do you want to work on? And that's what could be better. Like it's awesome to have those moments when there's no distraction and it's just you, a quiet space, and a harmonica, maybe some music, and also like, something to record with. Don't forget about that recording, you guys. If you can record yourself constantly, you'll find that that's also another key component to finding where to spend your time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And just listening to music is like just as important. Like it's also practicing. I mean, if it's like active listening.
That's it. Yeah. That's totally correct. I think about that a lot.
So, you talked a little bit about that, but how about your practice routine, or what? Yeah, how do you build a practice routine?
Well, first, I think you need a focus point. Practice routines can be looked at, in my opinion, individually, weekly, or monthly, because it's a different perspective.
So you're thinking about like short-term and long-term goals.
Yeah, because sometimes I can create a spontaneous practice session around a very specific technique or phrasing that I'm working on, or whatever it could be, a position work. But in general, great practice is, I think the best practice we find is when we're able to look at the big picture with pen and paper and write out, what are the top things you want to be doing. So for me, a practice session could look like figuring out over the next 3 months, what are the new, and my thing is I am trying to learn more jazz melodies on the diatonic without overblowing. Sorry. I'm trying to find some of the melodies without the overblows that I can at least learn these beautiful melodies. You played a great one. I can't, it has an overblow, but it still counts. Like, what is that?
I think that's called Sandu. Oh no, it's called Things Ain't What They Used to Be.
Yeah, that's it. So like that has an overblow, but the point is like I might find that like I'm gonna learn it in a new position, let's say for me, and I'm gonna work out that, and I might do that. That's a great melody, and so that's one major sort of thing that I might post in my practice session for over 3 months. That's one melody, and I might have one other piece like an instrumental, let's say, or something that I'm trying to help my student with, but it's a high level piece. So I'm going to make that my own practice, part of my own downtime practice, like an instrumental from Little Walter, let's say. And I want to brush up on so I got that. And then I subdivided it into all the different tasks. I look at things like conceptual, like what positions am I going to be working with, what keys, what techniques are really predominant techniques. And then I can create a simple plan for each day. If I have only 30 minutes, I know that I might do 1 or 2 focus points. I might do some really cool passes where I'm just working on a phrase over and over. And then I might work on, I like to incorporate patterns like, and mix those. And finding little patterns that, again, anything outside of a scale that you tend to play, intervals, arpeggios, obviously would be included. But those are fun for me because you turn the brain off and you can just say, what is the scale that's going to relate best? Intervals and thirds to this third position song that I got going on are going to be great because I want to work on that. And so I might do something like this. But each one's different, man. I'm pretty free-flowing. I think that it depends on your level. If you're a beginner, keep it simple and short. 30 minutes, have one or two things to focus on so that you can feel good at the end, like you accomplished something. The people that get in trouble are the people that try a little bit of everything. And then they're lost. They don't know what to do with all this information. So stick with the basics. Build your foundation. Get good tone, good control over your sound and your ability to bend notes cleanly. I mean, right? I think those are some of the most important things that we need to do as a harmonica player.
Yeah, that's so important. I like the phrases. They're like really like taking advantage of the structure of the instrument.
Yeah,
which is really good sometimes. Yeah.
What do you find like when you think about a piece of music? Do you deconstruct a lesson sometimes based around the piece of music you're trying to digest?
So you're talking about like my learning process if I tackle a new song?
Like the basic version of how you might go about practice outside of just playing the piece of music, to support the piece.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember having a lesson with an awesome jazz pianist who's still one of my favorites in New York back like, I don't know, that was probably like 6 years ago. His name is Aaron Parks. And he basically taught me how to do that. So he just thinks about the 3 components of music, like melody, rhythm, and harmony. Melody, rhythm, yeah, that was right. And he tries to, first, check out all the 3 individual parts exclusively, but the most important thing is to connect at least 2 of them in your practice.
Interesting.
Like if you only work on on a melodic exercise or just on a rhythmic exercise, then there's the danger of it staying an exercise that you don't really incorporate into your playing.
Yeah.
Because you aren't really making music in that very moment if you only practice that rhythmic exercise or just play it, and then in the end you can probably do the rhythmic exercise, but your playing in general doesn't really benefit from it. So then he just tries to connect it to one of the other two elements, and include harmony or melody in that case. And there are so many different ways to do that. Yeah,
it's interesting because
that's very creative.
That process is challenging for a beginner having to develop some sort of skill or confidence. One of the biggest challenges a beginner faces is that they cannot focus on more than one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And so maybe these early days of learning, like the harmonica is weird anyway. It's a strange, it's not a normal instrument. It's definitely its own thing. And so I know that total beginners have to develop at least some basic skills and sort of begin this idea of knowing that they can just open their mouth and work on rhythm. You can, with your breath, you can do something that's going to help you. But it is very hard for so many of the, I would say, beginner and beginner intermediate players to just even have two focal points that they can do at the same time. And that is something you're making me think of, a great topic for how does a learner get to that step where they can take two concepts and marry them together. To have that, because it's hard. It's a little bit like this. We have to use different parts of your mind and think about things differently. So,
even within like one element, like if you just think about rhythm, rhythm is probably the most important part of music. You can play wrong notes all the time, but if you have good rhythm, that's like probably better and more musical than playing the right notes with like no rhythm.
Right. That's almost a detriment, because then it's like, here's how you're properly presenting how terrible something is.
Yeah.
When you do that. Yeah. Better to have the rhythm. I agree with you.
And the key there is just like that was like his basic idea, to internalize the rhythm and make it yours and get it into your body by moving, rather than like joining a rhythm that's like outside of you.
It's so interesting. Yeah, because most people learning have the opposite perception. They're not able to understand that when they try to make an improvisation or play a melody piece, that it is the rhythm that should be directing them. And the minute they lose sight of that or don't engage in that aspect, there is no music happening, because these notes that you're playing don't mean anything. They're not connecting to the rhythm section. They're not connecting to the groove. There's no sort of like inherent natural movement to the note. And if beginners, if you're listening, if you do the opposite approach and say, I'm going to take the simplest idea, but I'm going to work on syncopation and rhythm and movement and feel, then intuitively you're bound to discover the second and third note that might work well. Even though you don't know theory or scales, you might find that you'll find a meaning in the second note, and then the third note will have a different meaning, and then you can experiment with changing those notes to see how the emotional intention changes. That's what it is. You're finding note relationships in music when you play melodically. That's how I think of it. It's like, when I go here emotionally, it's going to mean something, and if I choose the third note differently, in this phrase, boy, that dramatically changes this, and here's how. So you're constantly keeping track of the relationships and how they fit together. And I'm trying to do that still. This is, it's an ongoing process.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's nice to make the connection, like thinking about the rhythm as the body, and the melody could be the heart, and the harmony could be the mind, or it's like a little more analytical.
Very nice. I like that analogy. Yeah.
And I'm just very yeah, really love to see other players playing other instruments, singing along to what they play. We can't do that with a harmonica, but we hopefully sing through our instrument, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can make vocal sounds, but it's not singing. No, it's yeah. If you want to see that, though, you can check out Hazmat Modine. Are you familiar with Hazmat Modine?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah, great music. Everyone should check that out. A lot of eclectic klezmer, and I don't know. It's got all sorts of world music influences in it, but wonderful harmonica player whose name is escaping me all of a sudden. You know the harmonica player's name?
Is that Ray Schumann?
Yes, it is Schumann. That's right. He's a great dude. I only know him, we know each other. We're friendly, but Wade is such an amazing musician. This is somebody that nobody talks about. So go check out Hazmat, Hazmat, Modine, Modine.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Very musical guy.
Wade Schumann. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I also liked one exercise. I mean, that's very basic, but just like if you play over a chord progression, just like stick to one note and sing it and play it and just listen a lot. I mean, if you play and improvise, it should be probably like 90% listening to what's going on outside rather than listening to you.
That's a great point, man. Like, as much as you are playing, when you stop playing, you should be actively musically involved in every level. Yeah. Because when you come back in, you need all that influence to come into the note that's coming out of you. And so yeah, the active part of it being when specifically when we're not in the act of playing, that's actually more important. The thing that no one's teaching or talking about is what do you do when you're not actually breathing into the instrument? How do you stay connected to the music? Well, you listen actively. You close your eyes and listen, or if you can, sometimes you're not allowed to close your eyes because you need to be watching, but you need to feel the music so you can interpret it. We're nothing but a conduit for the music through our breath, right? So you need to feel something or else nothing's going to come out. It's no different than plugging in a device. You expect the TV to turn on, but it's not plugged in. You expect something musical to come out, but you're not really connected to the music. Well, start by finding a way to feel the music deeply. I always felt it, but I think I felt it so deeply early on that it was a problem because it came out nervous. It came out too excited. That's probably common, but you learn how to control the energy. You learn how to shape it and to relax it and over time. But in the beginning, this is like an impossible task. How will I ever be able to just do what I did at home when no one was listening? How am I going to do that on stage? It seems impossible, but then you try it and you fall down and you try it again. It's a little better and then it gets a little better. So it's a process,
Yeah. Well, there are some questions coming in. Also some random ones. Do you always keep a harmonica in your pocket?
No, not in my pocket, but I usually carry one with me. Not everywhere, but yeah, most of the time. Most of the time you want to have one because you never know when opportunity will strike or your inspiration.
That's so true. There definitely have been some moments where I was a little sad that I didn't have one with me.
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
The Woozle effect. Thanks for streaming on Twitch. We need more harmonica on the platform. Maybe we can get Ronnie to give Twitch a try. That's a nice one.
I don't know anything about Twitch, but I'll check it out. I don't know anything about Twitch.
Yeah, well, I started that new format on Twitch in January, and we do some challenges there. So the last one was the train harmonica challenge, like a train imitation challenge with.
I saw that.
Joe.
I saw that.
Falisco, yeah.
Was that? Oh no, I didn't see that. I missed it. I saw something that Tomlin did though. That was another challenge, and I think it was through Twitch.
Okay,
yeah. So that's good. I figured that the largest part of the demographic that'd be playing and following harmonica would not be on Twitch, but maybe I am mistaken. and I just don't realize.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Like it, also for me, it was like a platform to learn, but the connection between like the streamer and the chat, and in connection to like the Discord server, it's like feels pretty good. It's very, very direct.
All right, I'm gonna start twitching it. What do I say? You know, what do you call? What's the hip term for Twitch? Is there another
no
term?
idea.
No. All right, I'm gonna check it out.
But yeah, that's great fun. So people have the opportunity to send in their submissions, and yeah, get the chance to like win some prizes, hopefully.
So did you pick the winner of the train competition?
Well, yeah, it's like a popular vote. Okay. But I was able to vote, Joe was able to vote too, and everyone else watching too.
I gotta go see the winner. The winner is already done, right?
There are 3 winners. And there were some amazing submissions. I mean, that would be an idea. If you are open for that, we could think about a challenge and do something in, I don't know, like spring.
We got time. Yeah, something for the spring. I like this. I like this a lot.
Could be anything. I'm sure we can find a topic.
Absolutely.
There's a question by Hop Guru. I'm getting really into just learning the root and fifth in all the chord changes and improvising with just those notes. Is that a practice you can recommend?
Yeah, well, I do recommend isolating chords and doing chord tone practice, taking arpeggios, or finding a way to just isolate the notes. Yes, that's something that I do. But I think that the best way to do it outside of isolating just the notes in the chord are to find the examples. And that means listening. That means going back to the drawing board of what are you really listening to? Just trying to think of something off the fly here. Like when you listen to, if you're a blues person, I'm speaking from that perspective of the 5-chord area, which is a common topic. The 5-chord is a big sort of open, it comes up once in the 12-bar blues, one measure we get. So you have to exploit it in as many different ways as we can, finding different ways to play that. Or and so on. I could keep boring you to death. Moving up, practicing by register the expression of either chord tones that are available that you can play, or the phrasings themselves, or variations, sometimes accommodations that you make in the phrasing by register. So, find, just again, not to sit here and play all the examples, but you could go up by register and really think about where am I not paying attention to. This is a great practice, is look at the 5-chord alone and just say, where am I living? Okay, don't play those, try not to play those ideas, and then find the new ideas in the bottom, find them in the middle, and find examples of areas that you're not targeting. Every single part of the harmonica is suitable for a 5-chord idea. There's nowhere that you have to be afraid of if you can take a moment and isolate, have a note chart out of the diatonic harmonica and say, well, where do these notes live? You might surprise yourself. I'm not a theory guy, and I have found that I'm going to take it off my wall. So this lives on my wall. I don't look at it too much, but every once in a while in a lesson, having a note chart up would allow you to just have a moment to say, oh, I do know how to do those. I can play those notes. Yeah. Maybe they're not overdraws or overblows, or maybe it's such an easy thing. So you have to, I think, take stock of what you're already doing, and I think that's a great idea for a practice session.
Nice, yeah. The only advice I have, Harp Guru, besides like checking out the root and the fifth, the root and the fifth, that these are the notes that probably are like most of the chords, like 90% of the chords out there, all have in common. It's way more interesting to check out the thirds and the sevenths, which really like define the gender of the chords.
Good call.
But yeah, roots and fifths are very important, especially if you're a bass player. But we are a melodic instrument, so...
yeah, and so like think about the application too. What are you going to be what do you want to do with what you're practicing? What is the, always know a reason for why you're doing something you practice. So if somebody says this is good, you should be doing this, make sure you can apply it to some sort of end result that you hope to have an outcome. Because if I practice this, I can also apply it to X, Y, and Z. It's going to help me do these things because it needs to have some sort of meaning. I wasted a lot of time just doing what I was good at in the early days and just spending time repeating over and over the things that were enjoyable for me, which were the things that I was good at doing. And I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I had pushed myself to, I tongue blocked early. I went to tongue blocking after year 1. And I used a lot of, I still use a bunch of tongue blocking, but things like experimenting with an overblow, or which I only use the 6 occasionally, but finding all the techniques that I ended up polishing, I wish I had kind of moved on quicker. So sometimes you have to assess where you are and say, am I spending too much time on these things or not enough time and I've left them behind? I need to go back and fill in the gaps to the things that, I've sort of kind of skirted around. I'm amazed at how many people are extremely high level in many skill sets and ability to do all these things, but yet certain parts of their foundation are super weak. And I'm like, how did you miss these things? So like breathing properly, so tone and proper tone and ability to use your air right, single notes and bending being these are big 3 concepts, and just basic concepts like rhythm and timing. If you don't have that, I don't know what you got. But yeah, it's interesting because like you've got opportunities. Everyone's got an opportunity to go back and sort of like say, what do I really want to be doing and what do I need to do to get there? And that's how you answer the question of how do you spend your time.
Yeah, and that is about like entering the flow channel.
Yeah, it's just so interesting.
How Mo Active already proposed a topic for the Twitch challenge. It could be the best turnaround, the last 4 bars in the 12-bar blues.
Yeah.
Really, I thought about just doing like a funky blues thing.
Okay, bring that challenge on, man.
That would be nice.
Yeah, I'll pitch it on my channel. If you do it on Twitch, I'll let people know, at least in my zone, that you're doing something like that. Have everyone use some sort of like the same type of track, but see whatever one comes up. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm on board for that. I want to have a second chance at re-recording the Funky Blues. I did do a second version.
Yeah, then I also have the chance to show my recording from 2009.
Yeah, man, let's see that. It's time to make it public. Let's make that public. It's time.
Definitely.
Well, look, there's actually something very cool about sharing your music from a long time ago with people that like you and follow you, because you're inspiring them by sharing this vulnerability and saying, this is where I was, and this is what I sounded like. And I'm sure it's great. So you don't have to worry about it. So really, you should just share it.
Yeah. It's just distorting sometimes in the upper octave.
We can learn.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. Frank is just asking where you got your haircut during COVID.
Thank you. Often I cut my own hair, but this time, if you must know, I think I went to a Sports Clips or something, some random place. I was driving and I went like this to my hair, and it was like, and I looked over, like I was noticing it, and I looked over and saw the place and pulled in quickly. So this was a spontaneous haircut. Yep, there's places, and there's no one in there, and everyone wears masks. We're all safe. Keep the mask on. What can you do? I've found that I don't cut my hair well, so I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah. It's hard to get the back side. You can't get the back. You can get the sides and the top, but I can't get the back. Have you been out for a haircut?
Obviously not.
Because you got the hat on?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I should be more careful. I live in a small town, a very fairly small city. I don't know. Maybe it is like 180 or 200,000 people, but
Okay.
it's not too big.
Yeah. So it's already 10 p.m. here.
Oh, wow.
Maybe like a quick thing. I mean, everybody's interested in gear and stuff. Like, what kind of harmonicas do you play? And also, which instruments do you recommend for beginners?
I'm a huge fan of the Special 20 for beginners. It's a comfortable harmonica to play, plastic comb. I still use Special 20s. I like Rockets. I play all of them. Well, I play Rockets, Crossovers, Marine Band Deluxe, and Special 20. And Rockets, the low-tuned Rocket, and some Thunderbirds. So I mix up all those models of Hohner. Recommend that Special 20, though. Don't spend too much money on all the pedals and the gear and constant purchases until you learn how to play the instrument. Then acquire things slowly. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, I have some pedals laying around at home. I used them for quite a while, very, very intensively.
Right.
But, yeah, now they're just like laying there in dust.
Maybe they'll be resurrected, come back to life when we get a chance to go back out there and play.
Frank is asking the important questions. What are you drinking?
Well, this is water.
Okay.
Do I look drunk? I might be drunk. It's possible this is, let me check. Yeah, that's water.
And Tina is asking us to play something together to wrap this off.
That's hard to do.
That's
through
hard to
Zoom.
do. We can just like play something back and forth, though. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think at least the Twitch challenge will be a little more musical.
Yeah, check that out. And you know, maybe I should back you up and I play something and I stop and you play something. Maybe we try. Let's see what happens in Zoom world for a minute.
Yeah.
I have a G harmonica. You got a G?
Let me see.
It's gonna have some sort of flavor of that melody that I had in my head from what you recorded. That's the best we could do. That's cool, man, though.
That's
Little
just a
blues
short taste.
Short and sweet, man. It's good to hang out with you today.
It was fun. It was different than the other Hohner lives. In a good way.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of like meandered a little in different directions. It was nice to. And if anybody ever needs to ask me something and you're watching this and you wish you could have asked, you can always go to harmonica123.com and send me a message on my website through the contact page and I'll answer you.
Oh yeah, just check out the description box below for everyone who's watching. You can find all the social media links to find out more about Ronnie and his teaching. So yeah, maybe we'll see each other again on Twitch.
Maybe. I'm ready.
So thank you everyone for tuning in today. It was fun. The next Hohner Live will be not in 2 weeks, but in 3 weeks, on March 18th, same time, together with Gabriel Grossi from Brazil, who's a fantastic chromatic harmonica player. He's playing jazz, he's playing bossa nova, he's playing with the great musicians from Brazil, like Hermeto Pascoal and all these guys. So I think I gotta practice until then. Learn some chromatic harmonica.
Time to brush up.
So that's what's coming up. Next Twitch stream is tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central European Time. Thank you so much, Ronnie, for your time. And
My pleasure.
Yeah, check out the Discord server, everyone. Maybe see you in a funk blues harmonica challenge soon. Have a good evening or a good day wherever you are. Bye bye.